It's about that time to grab your favorite snack and sit back and relax, because you are now listening to the Movie Time podcast with your hosts, LOWKEY Geek Renee Zalata and Blake the Wolf. Take it away, boys.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on? It is another week, so that means it's another episode of Movie Time with us, your Movie Time hosts, the Movie Bros here, Renee, Blake. What's up, everybody? We're glad to be back here. Blake, how have you been? How are you doing?
Dude, I'm good. We are out of awards movie season in theaters. Now we're in the trying to find the random documentaries that got nominated on some, get a 7-day free trial on some streaming service, go to the indie cinema that we don't visit often enough to go see something new. And other than that, not a ton of new movies right now. Not a lot of goodies, a lot of dumps.
Extremely painful. Like, this is the driest January I've seen in some time. Because, I mean, last year, didn't we get Megan, at least at this time? That
you
some
got
people
Megan.
I got Megan. You're right.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But at least that was something that people were buzzing about. Like, oh, wow, a movie that came out like that in January. We didn't get anything like that.
And now Megan's nominated for Best Picture. And who would have thought?
Well, there you go. See?
There
could be little silver linings for releasing in dry January. But no, it's been the driest January I've seen in some time. But I think for people like you and I, it's a perfect opportunity to just catch up on some of the stuff that we haven't seen yet. Movies that people are now finally talking about because of the whole award season, the Oscar nominations and all that. And basically what we're trying to do here in this episode is we want to highlight movies that were not nominated at all. These were movies that got zeroed out, shut out, no nominations whatsoever, but you should still consider them and add them to your watch list because these are worthy movies that still need attention. And if you're a fan of movies, you should give these movies a shot. And basically what we do here is that we rank them. We went into the computer and the database. We got the algorithms going. We got the supercomputers, we got Chat GPT involved, all of this stuff, the brainchilds of the internet. And it spewed out our final top 12 list. Why 12? Like we said last time, if we were to put a calendar together, every movie deserves its own month and highlighted there. So we have a top 12 list of movies that got zeroed out at the Oscar nominations, but you should still consider watching for yourself. So before we get into that, it has been a while since we actually sat down and just talked about a movie or some movies because we just haven't watched anything new. So I'm curious, like, is there anything that you've watched recently that maybe you want to kind of just mention briefly or something?
I mean, we have watched new things. It's just there hasn't been much worth discussing as far as a new movie dropping. Oh my gosh, we've got the new Scorsese, we've got the new Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this before we started recording in like categories because, like I said, there's these got nominated, and so I'm trying to watch all the nominees like every year. So I've been catching up on those.
Yeah.
Bobby Wine on Disney Plus, great documentary, really enjoyed it. American Symphony about John Baptiste, really enjoyed it. Flamin' Hot, I put it on in the background one day.
You did?
Because it has the Diane Warren song nomination.
Yeah.
I don't force myself to watch all the song nominations. I was like, yeah, I heard it's cute. I put it on. It was inspiring and just such a waste of time also.
Aww.
Some weird combo of those. Nimona, lovely movie, lovely animated film. It's not going to win anything, but I've seen it now. And then there were some which we'll get to our honorable mentions of movies that only one of us saw or that didn't quite make our top 12. So we'll talk about a few of these maybe later. New movies in theaters. I'm just going to blast through here because it's been normally it's 3 a week. Now it's about 1 a week. And I've seen Poor Things so many times. They're like, sir, you're maxed out on Poor Things. You can't see it again.
Right.
So I saw Mean Girls. Liked it. It's fine. Book of Clarence. Really liked it. For the most part. Wish it had been a little bit better and it would have been a big fave. ISS, the
Oh
new Ariana
no,
DeBose
you
space
did, huh?
movie. Yeah, if you want some trash, oh, the world is ending, space fight trash, it's good at that.
Okay.
Beekeeper, it's not top tier Statham. It was entertaining. And then the Queen concert in IMAX is probably the best movie I've
Oh,
seen of
that
the year
sound
so
that
far.
would have been great. I'm sure. Yeah.
Really good. I don't know why it took them so long to release it properly. I don't know the backstory. We all know the songs. This is one of the great bands, and
Yeah.
live, Freddie Mercury, few have ever been as charismatic, plus that voice. Oof. So, otherwise, been doing a lot of rewatching. I rewatched John Wick 4 the other day. A couple days before that, rewatched Oppenheimer in theaters, rewatched Barbie at home, seen Poor Things a godless amount of times, etc. So,
Mhm.
the top noms, rewatched those, and then a couple faves. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. What have you been? What's your content intake been like?
Yeah. It's been almost kind of similar to your approach. Basically, I haven't been to the theater at all in the month of January. The first time I went to the theater was, as of the recording of this, we're recording this already in February, February 3rd. February 1st was my first time back in the theaters in 2024, and that was for the movie
Really?
Argyle. Yeah,
If I wait a
yeah.
month to go to the theater, they do a wellness check on me. They have one of the ushers come
I'm
by my house and be
surprised.
like, "Dude, are you okay?
I'm
We haven't
surprised
seen
my
you."
my uh my Regal app didn't just ping me and just say, "Hey, are you still you know you're still paying for this, right? Like you're still paying."
It's like the, "Are you still watching this when you've been binging too long?" And it's like that kind of a wellness
Right, it just
check.
pops up. Yeah.
Hey, are you good?
Yeah, it's been nuts, but yeah, I finally made it back to watch Argyle, and yeah, whew, what a movie.
Best movie
Um
ever, from what
but
I hear.
in January, I spent a lot of time watching movies at home, but it's like you kind of playing catch up. I finally saw Fallen Leaves, which is a great film. Which I'm surprised didn't get nominated at all, to be honest with you. I feel like it's that kind of international film that a lot of people would love because it's very
It's one of the
simple.
snubs of that
Yeah,
of the noms for
yeah,
sure. A lot of people expect that to get
yeah, for
nominated.
sure.
Maybe it's because
I
it should have been called Leaves in Fall instead of Fall in Leaves. It doesn't.
um
Is it like Leaves of Grass, like the Walt Whitman, where you're like, wait, what? What is this title? I'm sorry, I'm being absurd.
yeah, no, it's
Fall
okay. I'm used to it.
in
It's maybe
Falling
Fall
Leaves.
Over Leaves or I don't know.
Fallen Leaves. Oh, look at
Fallen
all these fallen leaves. It's in the
Flaylin
autumn.
Leaves.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's let's not. Um I also watched The Teacher's Lounge finally for the first time, and you haven't seen it yet. So I think the way
No,
I would describe it
don't
to
spoil,
you, I
or
won't.
I'll jump.
It's no, it's basically like just imagine if the Safdie brothers went and did a day in the life of a teacher, and that's the kind of tone you get with this movie. It is very anxiety ridden, and it's just very thrilling. You don't know what's going to happen. Nothing like crazy absurd, but it's just think of like you in your office in your job when you have like stresses that's plaguing you and what you just had a bad day, right? Like just imagine that for a teacher. It's a very similar situation.
Anything the Safdies touch, I will inhale. And I just actually binged Curse, the new
Oh,
show.
I still need to
Loved
see that.
it.
Yeah.
Also binged Succession right before that. So like January
Oh
is
my
also a good
god.
time for like, oh, catch up on that TV show, or in this case, rewatch it for the fourth time.
Right.
But that sounds good. I gotta go see Teachers. It's nominated, so I'm gonna see it anyway. I
Yeah.
gotta go see it. Now I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I have a feeling this is going to be a you movie for sure. You're definitely
Okay.
going to like this movie quite a bit.
Okay.
And then anything like other things, like I finally saw Eileen. It was just one of those things where I kind of want to pop that in, and oh geez, that's another movie that I don't know exactly what happened there. And then some of the things I rewatched. Well, there was only one movie I rewatched. No, there's two. Sorry, RoboCop and RoboCop 2. I decided to rewatch for some bizarre random reason.
The original
The original, yeah,
RoboCop.
yeah. It's just again something like a flashback from my childhood. I really enjoyed the first movie, and I still do. Second one's still not that great, but there's like a guilty pleasure when you watch it. But I went back and first time ever, because Mean Girls the musical is out now. I actually went and saw the original Mean Girls for the first time.
First time.
First time I watched it, yeah.
The
yeah.
classic, everyone in my age range has watched it 8,000 times.
Yep.
When I told people, like, oh, I haven't really seen it since it came out, they're like, what? Like, it's on a fucking cycle in a lot of homes.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
every girl's night ever, Mean Girls. It's like when I was a kid in Space Jam or Sandlot, every sleepover, like, we're putting on this movie. Probably saw them 70 times each. Never seen it before. What'd you think?
Never saw it before.
It's not really for you, no offense.
No, it's not. I'm definitely not. Even when it first came out, I definitely wasn't the demographic. I wasn't. I was a little older for that generation. But a funny story about this. When this movie came out and was available to rent on DVD for the first time, I was actually working at Blockbuster Video when this thing came out. So it was like the hot ticket item for like a month. Like you could not nail down a new copy or a copy to rent at all. But then when people had to ask me what the movie was about, because, you know, as an employee, you're supposed to have watched everything and you give your insights and input. So I said, well, I guess you could kind of compare it to Clueless. Like think of Clueless, but it's more focused on the girls' side of things and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So if you like Clueless, then you're going to like Mean Girls. But then when I watch it now, I'm like, okay, the Clueless kind of comparison is not entirely wrong, but it's
like
definitely
vibes, kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely it definitely honed in on the kind of angsty, mean behavior of the time. You know, where that was very much highlighted, like the bullying of people, the kind of like but people saw that as comedic.
Well,
right?
Renee, I'm sorry, you're telling us what Mean Girls is about. We know everyone else in the entire universe
I know.
has seen Mean Girls.
I'm new to this. So
listen to this, though. It's not actually about Clueless. It's actually about Mean Girls. Who would have thought? Thank you so much for that insight, Renee. We've
like
all
your
been
parent...
processing this movie for like, what, 20 years, 15 years? And you're like, listen to this, though.
It's
I
like
have
when
a
you have
take.
a parent.
It's about Mean Girls.
Yeah, it's like when you have a parent or an uncle that sees something for the very first time and they're like, hey, have you seen this? Let me tell you all about it. And you're like, yes, we know, God.
Like, I was going to start to be like, well, actually, what I think it's actually about. And I was like, wait, we all know what it's about. What is happening right now? This is not, just for the record, if you're tuning in, this is not the Mean Girls rewatch. But, I mean, maybe someday we'll do a little cult classic rewatch of Mean Girls and really get into it.
Yeah, we could.
Really
we could.
just, go through it. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of analyze the time it came out and how it, like, why there is such a significant cultural significance for when this movie came out. But it makes sense. Like, I saw it and I'm trying to imagine that period, that time. I'm like, oh, this makes perfect sense why this movie was so big at that time.
That was high school for me. Like, I mean, like, that was literally my era. I was the exact age of the characters they were playing, kind of. So, wait, just to clarify, you haven't seen the new one?
No.
So, again, this is a movie podcast where a sequel comes out, and then we talk about the original or a remake, and we're like, hey, listen, let's theorize not about the new content. No. I love this. I want to now talk about the new one with you, but you haven't fucking seen it. So thank you. I'm glad we're catching up on what we've seen in the month of January. It is January.
It is January.
We are
and the great thing about the thing that we do here is that we're not paid to watch every single fucking movie that comes out. We watch movies that
I
we
do it
want
for
to watch.
free, like a bitch.
Yeah. And to be quite honest with you, Mean Girls is not a movie that I'm interested in, especially since I had no ties to the original. Now that I've seen the original, I still don't want to see the new one. It's just not for me.
I think the new one might be less for you, honestly, because it's a musical, right? And the music isn't necessarily going to be your fucking 90s New York kid fitted cap taste. That's just a stereotype, but also it's true. You're technically wearing it fitted right now. I'm glad you recommended Teacher's Lounge. I got to see that. The one that I'll shout out of movies that were nominated for Oscars is I saw Four Daughters finally.
Oh, okay.
Cannot recommend enough. I was moved. I don't want to overhype it because it's a very unique movie. Might not be for everyone, but it was a very creative take on a documentary, which we get a lot of documentaries that are just they're saying facts, they're doing the Ken Burns thing, it's talking
Yeah.
heads. Those are kind of falling out of fashion. And if you have a meta documentary or Flea a couple years ago where it's animated in a certain way,
Mhm.
it's nice when they play with the form. This one definitely did that. And also it kept that it was very uh, it was a lot. I wept multiple times. I
Mm.
laughed numerous times. I would full send recommend if you're gonna go through the Oscar nominees, definitely put Four Daughters above Flamin' Hot on your movies I need to actually watch list. That's what I would say. It was better than Flamin' Hot. And it made it quickly to the top tier movies. It made it immediately onto my top movies of all time list. It's got like around 200 on Letterboxd. It made it onto my top 20 movies of 2023. We already did that episode.
Yeah.
I would have not had a movie there, and I would have had Four Daughters instead had I seen it sooner. So can't recommend that
Interesting.
one enough. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something to take note of then. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Tis the season to go through and watch those documentaries that are devastating and we put off. This one more just like a rich human story, not just devastation. It was lovely. So
Right.
yeah,
Cool.
talking
Nice.
about
Yeah.
lists.
So,
So are we
I
getting into
mean,
it?
yeah, let's get into,
Is
since
it now?
the whole idea of this episode is basically just us looking back and kind of highlighting movies that we feel should be highlighted still. These are movies that, like we said before, didn't get any attention at the Oscar nominations. Most people, what they do, kind of like what we're doing now, they hear a movie that was nominated, they had no idea about it. They now are going out to watch it or they're renting it at home. AMC, Regal, they're now doing the Oscar nominees kind of viewings and screenings where Regal, for example, was doing like for $5, you could watch this movie, like Anatomy of a Fall or Barbie.
AMC's doing that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're enticing people to kind of catch up on these films. Unfortunately, all the films that we are mentioning are not part of that. But we implore you to give some time to these movies because they definitely do deserve the attention because we feel these are movies that are for at least for us are highly regarded from last year and should not be ignored just because they simply didn't get any kind of Oscar nominations. And as we were putting this list together, there was at least over 30 movies that we would have easily considered. But like I said, we narrowed it down. We have our top 12, but like with anything, we do have some extra that we still want to call out and highlight. So these are like our honorable mentions that we're going to start off with first. So, Blake, you want to go ahead and go through your honorable mentions first?
Hell yeah. Cassandra definitely could have been nominated for Gal Garcia Bernal.
Mhm.
Love that movie. Got to see it at Angelica. Very good human story, very well acted, well directed, just all of the things, that go into a special movie. And uplifting, inspiring, emotional, all of that. So full send recommend on Cassandra. Next, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. That was one of the most thrilling movie experiences of last year. Very indie movie, very strong politics. Regardless, if you want, we don't have to rehash it, but like essentially like the tension of a heist movie
Mhm.
of they're trying to get away with something, and it worked so well to the point where it's kind of in the Safdie vein of like your heart is pounding,
Yeah.
even though it's like on some real indie movie shit. Fully recommend that one. Fremont is the exact opposite. It's except it's very much an indie movie, super low budget,
Mhm.
but one of my all-time faves of last year. It could have easily been in some consideration or awards, but I think it was too few people saw it. I got to see the director Q&A for it. If you're in any way into the Jim Jarmusch style 90s American indie movies, black and white, slow, and or if you just want some Jeremy Allen White thirst trapping, he has a small role in
Nice.
it where he plays a
Yes.
mechanic and she kind of has a crush on him and it's so hot. So see it for lewd reasons, see it for beautiful reasons. I don't care. Just see that movie for sure. A couple that I saw recently while I'm going through the last year are They Clone Tyrone and 1001. They Clone Tyrone is one of those on Netflix that just didn't get a ton of play. I think probably
Yeah.
everyone saw it in the recommended and then it didn't get the numbers and Netflix just algorithmed it out. Jamie Foxx is going to be one of my favorite characters of last year. He plays a pimp, but a very sweet pimp who can't actually bring himself to lay down the law, if you will. He's a
A
lover,
pimp
not a
with a heart
fighter.
of gold.
Yeah, but great style, John Boyega, in my mind, in a world where we consider genre movies more seriously, in a movie where we take black performances more seriously instead of
Yeah.
relegating them as if it's a genre, um, and movies that are more stylized, have a sense of humor about themselves, or a little more meta. It's very much like the whole movie is a shout out to like 70s black exploitation, pulpy kind of stuff. But I
Right.
think it rises above and it's doing that knowingly. It's a smart, clever movie. Also very entertaining if you just want something kind of dumb to throw on in the background and then be surprised by how it's actually pretty smart. But John Boyega did a great job in the lead role. I
He
can't
needs
recommend that
more
one enough if
attention.
you want
That guy needs
for
more
sure.
chances. He needs more chances in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe like a big blockbuster, like a reboot of a famous franchise, give him a starring
Not that.
role.
No, not
Okay.
that. Been there, done that.
No,
Let's
but he's a
let's
properly good actor for sure.
yeah.
This might have something in common with Attack the Block, if anyone saw that, which was kind of his breakout pre-Star Wars
Yep.
role. But
Sequel coming up
regard,
too.
really,
They're
I don't
working
know
on a
that.
sequel for that. Yeah.
Is he in it? I
I
can't
think
remember
so.
if he
I think he
lived.
might be
I don't
tied
want
to
to say
it.
much
Yeah.
more.
I don't
Okay,
know.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, fully recommend if you want something entertaining. And then but it's more than just that. I don't want to sell it short as that. But if you just like, it'd be a good movie night with a friends kind of movie,
Right.
or you got nothing going on, it's raining outside, you want to throw something in and get kind of sucked in. It was great for that. 1001, kind of the opposite in some ways. Very devastating. Tiana Taylor plays a 90s. I might get some of the basic facts wrong, but 90s Harlem-based mom who's dealing with poverty, they're trying to take her kid away kind of thing. She was locked up. And then there's a twist in there. I don't want to say too much more about it. I don't think you go in for the twist. You go in for beautiful directing to where afterward I saw the short films that the director had made and just very incredible cinematography.
Hmm.
Authentic 90s New York. I mean, you were here, I wasn't, but I have a feeling if you saw it, you'd be like, damn, that's exactly what Harlem looked like then. That was the
Okay.
feel of it. Even just like the grittiness of the quality of the film, etc.
Yeah.
It was really good, well acted, but it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow in some ways. I'm not going to talk about how it ends. I'm not going to talk about there is some inspiring aspects of it, but it is one of those I've been putting off because I am rarely in the mood to lower my mood, if you will. Like, oh, I want to get depressed tonight.
Right.
And then when that does happen, I'm usually not watching new stuff. So that said, it was well done and not as devastating as I was afraid it would be. So a few moments, sure, full warning, but last one of the most uplifting, lovely, fun, happy movies I saw last year was Rye Lane. Somehow nobody saw it, but everyone who saw it that I talked to loved it, loved it,
Hmm.
loved it. Like crying, laughing my ass off, having a great time. It's a rom-com, starring a couple actors who I were familiar with, but they're underseen, and just a lovely romp of we talk about there's not enough new rom-coms. Date night at home, put this one on Hulu. Fully fucking worth it. I don't think you could go wrong. It's Are they friends? Are they boyfriend girlfriend? They're running around the city. They're having little adventures, and don't want to say anything about how it ends, but it's deeper and better than just like some kind of standard pitched rom-com. Fully recommend this one too. So those are the ones that didn't make our list because only one of us saw them or something like that. But that
Yeah.
I would have to say before we move on and get only into the movies that made awards, before we get into the 2024 stuff, these are the ones that should outlive 2023 and have a bigger legacy than just, oh, that came out and we'll never talk about it again. So happy
Right.
to shout those out. What do you got, bro?
Nice. Yeah, no, I have to say I also like your list too because you not only highlighted movies, in your opinion, should be looked at and paid attention to. But these are movies that are more on the indie side of things. These are movies that general audiences probably will never have a chance to know unless people talk about it. Because these are movies that aren't highly marketed. You won't really see them coming up on your feeds most of the time when you're on a streaming platform, if they are available there. So I like the fact that we take the time out to kind of shout out these projects, because again, not a lot of people will end up talking about a lot of these movies here. My list is a little bit more easily accessible, I guess. Like, these are movies that maybe some people have heard about but probably never decide to watch, or whatever the case is. Or maybe people have watched it and they're like, yeah, I agree with him. Like, this should have been at least a little paid more attention to, especially by the Oscar body and all the Academy and everything. So on my list, I wanted to shout out two animated features. One is Suzume. Suzume is a very well done Japanese anime. It's from the same director who did Your Name back in 2016, which was highly touted and highly well regarded. Director is Makoto Shinkai. And this was another one of those brilliant movies that he put together. Very well done, very well animated, very heartfelt story, very emotional. So I thought, just for animation alone, the accomplishments in animation that he did here is so well deserving of people to watch and pay attention to. I think if we had a year where Hayao Miyazaki didn't come back and have The Boy and the Heron, this may have a shot in filling in and taking in that position for his nomination in that category. The other one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I am a big Turtles person. I have always been a fan, and I know I've spoken about this movie multiple times during our episodes. This was just a fun watch. It was very enjoyable, very entertaining, and very it stuck very closely to the original source material, paid enough respect and attention, but also putting its own spin on it. I think having Seth Rogen, who is such a 90s kid, attached to this, it really felt like it was in the great hands and care of somebody who respects the source material and just wanted to put something out there that kids who grew up during that time, or a younger generation to enjoy this with their parents who grew up at that time, will enjoy, and hopefully will latch on to and carry on moving forward.
I thought it was going to be dumb. It was really well made.
Yeah.
Clever, quality, actually a smart take on it. And I've missed the last couple TMNTs because of just like,
Sure.
Where I was a fan when I was a kid, of course. It was one of those things that transcended your generation and mine, where like my older brother and I both were obsessed with it. I just probably didn't have as deep of an understanding of the lore. It was like, cool, Ninja Turtles. Pretty basic concept, but this one definitely was actually good. And I'm the one who likes weirdo indie crap. And I was like, huh, they're doing something interesting here for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those properties that it spanned generations, which you don't really get a lot of. I mean, this started in the 80s and it lasted well into the late 90s, early 2000s. So, cross-generational appreciation for this is definitely there. And I think anyone who went to see it actually really enjoyed it, at least from what I know in my circle, so.
That was also in the sixth spot for animated, where a lot of folks were saying this could be, and it also falls in the vein of the post Spider-Verse animated movies, where it's doing something clever with the animation, not just the Pixarification of everyone's super round in 3D. They had, the animation was really clever. I found that probably the most impressive aspect of it.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they took it right out of the comic book, and that's what it felt like you were watching, which was so appreciative.
Got a 3.8 on Letterboxd. I'm
3.8.
kind of amazed by that. Yeah, that's really fucking good. This is loved by the film community too. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. No, that's really awesome. I mentioned earlier when I saw Fallen Leaves. Definitely. Oh, why is that in there? That did get. Oh, it didn't get nominated. Yeah. What am I talking about? Yeah. It was.
That was also in that sixth spot for international.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So that's definitely something that I highly recommend. Sticking to the international, another movie I also recommend is Monster. It's from director Hirokazu Koreeda, who is known, probably if you are someone who follows Oscar nominations and all that, he was known for Shoplifters back in 2018. Very talked about, well-loved Japanese movie of that year that won the Palme d'Or for Cannes that year. And for those of you who saw Godzilla Minus One, Sakura Ando is one of the main characters in Monster. So she had two great movies, in my opinion, that came out last year. Again, one of my favorite actresses. So great story, mainly surrounding two boys and kind of their relationship and how it takes a different point of views viewing the events that's happening in this film and kind of letting you understand the insights and kind of the choices and decisions each character made during the event that happened in this film. And I won't go too much into it, but it all kind of melds and makes sense at the end. So he weaved this storyline where you're following one point of view, then it switches to another point of view, and then it switches to another point of view. And then it all culminates in the end to create this amazingly well done story. Great directing and great performances all around. So highly, highly recommend that. Another one that I've talked about multiple times throughout last year is the movie Jules. Jules is a movie that is very simple, very simplistic, not a lot of major special effects, especially when you're dealing with aliens and an alien kind of quote unquote invasion. But it basically keeps it very simple. It's charming. The writing was very well done. The directing is well done. And the performances really help make this movie stand out to me. The story behind this all is that you have an alien crash landing into community that doesn't see a lot of excitement, but you could also see that the community is really transitioning from the older generation to the newer generation. And the older generations, their voices are no longer being heard and considered. So they feel like they're outcasts in their own community. But because of this one event, this one alien, it helps them come back into prominence. And it creates a bond with the older community when usually they're kind of like against each other, or they're like, you stick to your own side of the town and I'll stick to mine, kind of thing like that. And it brings everyone together and kind of allows them to have a voice once again. So very touching, emotional movie, well deserving of a watch there. Along the same lines, the documentary Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, I think is one of the best documentaries that I personally saw last year. I was kind of surprised not to hear it come up in the documentary category. But I think the documentary category, depending on who you talk to, is kind of controversial this year. I think a lot of people are kind of questioning how these movies are nominated and how that came about. But if you grew up in the 80s, you know Michael J. Fox. And if you are a fan of his movies or, the shows that he was involved in or the person himself, this is a great look into the life of how things started with him and where things are now. His obviously struggle with Parkinson's and his continuous fight to kind of help with those who suffer from that. So it's very touching. It can be very sad at times, but it's also very, there's like a nice message in there of hope and perseverance that is very uplifting and all. So really, really recommend that. Lastly, even though this is a short film, Strange Way of Life, Pedro Almodovar, brilliant short film directed, starring Pedro Pascal, Ethan Hawke, the two biggest zaddies of last year, I would say. I've never been exposed to any of Almodovar's movies before, and this was my first one. And it was because of this that I now want to go back and really start watching a lot of his filmography, because I was enthralled in this. I want to live in this universe. I think we need more of this world. We need more stories to flesh out from these two characters here. It was just I loved it. I fell in love with these two characters. I fell in love with kind of like the soap opera telenovela-esque type of directing. So I love it. I really ate it all up, and I highly recommend if you haven't seen this yet. And last, Air. Air is a movie that came out earlier in the year. It's one of those feel-good movies. We've had several of those come out last year with Dumb Money, Blackberry, kind of like, the bottom, working your way up to prominence in the top. And of course, it involves, a major star, a name that everyone's very familiar with Michael Jordan and the Nike Air brand and all that. So it just gives us an insight of how all that came about. And a lot of people don't know that Nike was not a number one brand back then. They were like 3, maybe even 4. And basically just how teaming up and doing this thing and kind of the brilliance of those behind the scenes, how it, changed the trajectory of the Nike brand moving forward, and how it also changed how athletes deal with sponsorships and understanding that, hey, there is a side hustle here that we could kind of get involved in, that we don't necessarily have to rely on our NBA salaries and everything. So very, very interesting storyline there, and great performances across the board. I think it just came out way too early last year and is a little bit too vanilla. That I think it's one of the reasons why it didn't get any attention at the Oscars there. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions there.
Those are good calls. I'm glad you mentioned Air. Yeah, I think vanilla is a great word. Like, it's not that it is vanilla. I was worried it would be more vanilla. It wasn't pure vanilla.
It wasn't pure vanilla.
There was just a little too much vanilla flavoring in there for it to be exciting. But exciting, strange way of life. The bad news is that is the only Almodovar movie that's like that at all.
Yeah.
I really want you to watch all of his movies and just be like, what the fuck did I get myself into? One, they're all Spanish language. Every other movie's made. 2, they're usually, I don't think any are Westerns.
No, of course
not. And I don't think, we could actually do an Almodovar retrospective when his next movie comes out, because that's the good news. His next movie, first English language one, set in New York City, starring Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore. When that comes out, we're gonna get into it. In the meantime, the one I will say might be a Renee-esque movie is The Skin I Live In, starring Antonio Banderas, playing a plastic surgeon who does some evil by switching faces that maybe he shouldn't switch. And I haven't seen it in a while, and it's kind of a mind fuck. But if you liked Face Off, but wish it was actually a very good and acclaimed international movie, I would recommend The Skin I Live In.
Classic movie.
Yeah.
Face Off is a classic.
But what if it was good? But hear me out.
Oh, come on now. That movie deserves a little bit more credit.
What if it was well written, well directed, had good acting in it?
Since you put it that way. Okay, yes. All right. Take the cheesiness out of it and actually put something more serious involved. Yes.
But yes, Strange Way of Life, to me, that's one of the biggest snubs of that day, where I was like, why didn't you put Almodovar in?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
I'm glad we're going to talk about our top 12s, because there's also Wes Anderson is in there.
Yes.
Which we're about to get into. I don't want to jump too far ahead. It's list time.
Yeah, it's list time. Let's get into it. So we're going to start from 12 and work our way up here. So number 12 on our list, and again, this is a movie that got so much acclaim last year, especially when the festivals were all hitting the scene. People who saw this movie, they were leaving the festival saying this is probably one of the best movies they've seen of the year. Great acting, great directing. It was a director that I'm not familiar with at all. But it has All of Us Strangers. All of Us Strangers, starring Paul Mescal and
Andrew Scott.
Directed by
Andrew High. And we also have Jamie Bell and Claire Foy in the more supporting roles. Yeah.
The cast itself is great. Great performances all around. Directing, I thought, was well done too. The only thing I will criticize is that there are moments where I felt like it was dragging a little bit, and in the beginning, it was kind of hard to decipher. Wait, what time period are we really in, or what's real, what's not? Maybe that was on purpose, but it can be kind of confusing a little bit. And I also felt the romance between the two was kind of rushed in certain aspects and all. So minor criticisms here, but it did prevent me from giving it a higher rating than I would have normally given it. But still, it's a movie that I do remember very highly from last year. And like I said, something that was very well talked about from a lot of people. including yourself, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Everyone just ignore everything Renee just said. He's really dumb, and so he has a hard time with movies like this. I don't know. I understand what you're talking about with your confusion, but I feel like that's more of a personal feeling. I'm just gonna roast you for
Yeah, no
no,
problem.
sincerely, I don't disagree with your sentiments. I do think it's part of the like I do think it was intentional.
Hmm.
And I think it's disorienting in its own little way, and that you're not always supposed to know where you are. And there's movies that
Yeah.
do that. This one, I think, could have done a better job in editing it in a way that moved you forward, back and forth in time. And I'm not, this is obviously, it's kind of a silly comparison, but the best version of a heartbreaking memory living in different times at the same time movie would be like Eternal Sunshine.
Right.
And that editing hums and it's zingy as fuck. This one is kind of doing the opposite, and I think that might be part of the problem. Is it's relying on a still shot and the light in the room changes, and now someone else is in the room. And you go, oh wait, how did it? So it can be. It's kind of like a weird combination of jerky and herky jerky and slow. I like those two things, but I see what you're saying. I'm not actually trying to disagree. I'm just talking shit.
I know.
But
I'm just like being a dick. It's fine.
my issue with the movie was actually different. Is that it just kind of played the sad notes only,
Oh, for
and
sure.
I
Yeah.
prefer movies to do a more complicated tune. I'm looking for comedic relief, excitement, entertainment. I do actually like action, even if or absurdism or nothing happening, but it was like just playing all the notes in minor chords and calling it a sad song. It is, but I think if you have experienced what that character experienced and you see this movie, you're gonna be like, they get it, but otherwise it was pretty rough. On a rewatch, I might actually appreciate it more when I'm less affected by the surprise of it all, being enraptured in that world and the misery and depression of it. I am curious with a more impartial second viewing, but the first viewing for sure, I was like, it's kind of like hanging out with getting lunch with an old friend and it just becomes a bummer and you're like, can we just have a one nice moment? Can we laugh? Can we, oh
Yeah.
fuck. Okay, I'm
Where you
stuck here
hear
for 2
nothing
hours.
but
Here we
bad
go.
news.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like I got laid off, my cat died, my mom's in the
Or
hospital.
yeah, that, or even the one where it's just like morose for no good reason too, where you're just like, surely something lovely happened.
Yeah.
There's some nice moments. I'm not trying to take it all away, but it's had a little too much of that. So
Yeah.
that's why it's kind of at the bottom of our list, and maybe part of these reasons we're naming are part of why it's not nominated. Is it still worth watching? Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
That is it. That to me
Absolutely.
is a special movie, and it's important in its own way. There are enough movies like that movie.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another movie that's not like this movie is Dream Scenario, which comes in at number 11. This is one of those movies that you go into it thinking one thing, and then you get like completely like turned around and punched in the face. Nicolas Cage is at the point in his career where we're so used to him just doing whatever he wants. But every now and then he comes across this one role where you're just like, wow, where has this guy been? We saw that with Pig that one year it came out. And I would say this is probably his best since that time.
There's also the weirdo Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent where it's self-referential, and this one is kind of self-referential where he's playing a weirdo knowingly.
Sure.
Kind of like his role in Adaptation where he's like playing with the Nick Cage persona, but also doing a good ass job at it.
Yeah. It's basically, and I love the theme here because it is very like, it makes sense, especially in the time that we're in now. And it just highlights the ups and downs of stardom, especially like virality, like when you deal with social media. It's a brilliant way of portraying like how good it could be at one point and how awful it could be in the other side of things. And you have this one guy that has to deal with everything like all in one shot, in a very short period of time too, where he's like applauded and looked upon and even dreamed about. That's basically what's been happening here. And then he becomes a nightmare to everybody, and everyone basically wants him dead and gone and whatever, forgotten. And so it was just a really wacky, brilliant portrayal of all of that. And it's just one of those movies that you don't really see a lot of, but it was very well executed. Nicolas Cage is great in it, I think. And if you are a fan of Nicolas Cage, I'm pretty sure this is a movie that's going to be high up there for you. It's definitely, in my opinion, in our opinion, worth a watch because it is something out of the ordinary. And if you're looking for something that's kind of wacky, maybe you're a fan of like Ari Aster's movies, filmographies. It's very similar to that. In fact, Ari Aster was a producer on this film, so it makes perfect sense that he would like put himself and attach himself to a movie like this because it felt very much like an Ari Aster film. So yeah, so I highly recommend this. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I would be interested to see how it would be in a second viewing. Maybe I'll appreciate a lot of the more nuances involved in it, but there's still going to be that one moment that will probably feel just as cringy as it did the first time around, and it involves an apartment and a younger girl.
Flatulence? That was
Flatulence, yes.
Was
sure.
that cringy?
That was kind of funny. That kind of helped break the tension.
Wait,
But
is that
the
not
rest
normal though? For that to happen?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you handle things behind the scenes, but
Wait, why would that be cringy? um, that's a good call out. I actually forgot about that scene until you mentioned it, and now I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to just really try to push it out of my head again. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Really well done movie. Good cast too, I'll say. Tim Meadows. We obviously
Mhm.
Nicolas Cage, but Julianne Nicholson did a good job. My biggest beef with this movie is that Michael Cera loved it, loved him in it. But this is the reason why Michael Cera was my most watched actor on my Letterboxd end of the year list, and I didn't want that to necessarily be the case. But because I saw Barbie 3 times,
Mm,
an episode of Black Mirror, and Dream Scenario, now it's like okay, that's and they don't I. It's like in Spotify when you listen to a white noise playlist, and it's like, hey, your most listened to song, your favorite artist is white noise. Go to sleep, sleepy
yeah.
time music. You're like, cool.
Right, awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah. Overall, fun, interesting, weirdo little movie. Smoke weed with your friends and watch this on a movie night. Don't watch it when you're trying to go to sleep. Parts
No.
of it might work really well. The latter half, nope, definitely
Nope. Mm,
not. But otherwise, yeah, lovely film.
nice.
Cool little
Yeah.
indie.
Um, Speaking of cool indie, now we have a movie straight out of Canada, and that is Blackberry. Blackberry basically is a film that tells the story of the very famous BlackBerry company, the devices, and how that all came to be. Very much in the same vein, like we mentioned before, like a movie like Air or Dumb Money, they came out last year. This is very similar to that. Very similar to, but not as biting as an I, Tonya or a Vice. It just shows you a lot of the behind the scenes and kind of the stressfulness of these people involved in this company and trying to put their product out there and have it accepted, have it funded. And then once it becomes the biggest thing in the world, how they maintained it or tried to and compete, especially when all of a sudden they get thrown a wrench in the whole thing thanks to good old Steve Jobs and Apple there. I related so much to what was happening because I had a BlackBerry when I was at the time that this was all happening. I
Huh.
remember the importance of BlackBerries and how it was very revolutionary, how it made me change from a normal phone to a BlackBerry because of the messaging system and how it could easily send the messages so quickly and so fast between BlackBerry users and everything. So that's why I experienced a lot of those moments. And I also remember when the iPhone came out and when BlackBerry was trying so hard to compete, coming up with all of these weird ideas, the the clicking noise on the screen when you touch it. That's a real thing. I remember seeing someone's BlackBerry and fooling around with it and it's like, oh my God, are you serious? Like this is actually happening. But it was a piece of shit device. It just didn't work. So it was just a lot of fun watching that all play out. And Jay Baruchel is just oh my God, he is so good in this movie. And I'm so used to
Yeah.
seeing him as second,
Seth
third
Rogen's
character.
friend.
Right, exactly. The Canadian friend.
Or
of
How to
his.
Train a Dragon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like you would have never thought that he could carry kind of like a co-lead or a lead in a movie like this, and he did
Dude's
a
good.
brilliant job. He is so good in this. I highly recommend it. Very enjoyable, and I know you were actually talking a lot about this movie when it came out last year, and you
Yep.
saw it, and you wanted me to see it, and it just took me a while to actually do so. But I'm so glad I did, because I agree. It is a great movie that unfortunately came out way too early last year and just didn't have the marketing behind it to really push it out into the forefront, because this is a movie that it deserves to be watched by people.
For sure. And I think one of the main things people talked about with it for award season was a surprising amount of film podcasty bros were talking about Glenn Howerton could or should, or they love a world where he's nominated for supporting. That's never going to happen, dude.
No.
One, it's a comedy. Two, it's over the top. And three, it's not even like, it's good, but it's not actually like great acting, I don't think. But was it entertaining as hell? And every time he was on screen, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yes. And would I be mad if the Oscars took those kinds of performances more seriously? Probably not. But it's just like, in this universe, definitely never gonna happen. It was a very understated but also very exciting movie, like The Social Network, but a less cracked out version of it, and a more volatile company. And it does the startup thing, it blows, and it's just a shooting star of a story. And even as a movie, I really liked that aspect of it. Was it a fucking like Canadian nonprofit? Like it was one of those like at the opening of the movie, it's like for the benefit of the Canadian lottery school systems.
Yeah,
and
they must have gotten
children
a
of the
grant
poor,
or multiple
something
Canadian
like that.
grants. Yeah.
And they were like, hey, so we have enough money to make the movie and $8 for advertising.
Right.
So Renee won't see it until 2024. But dude, definitely go out of your way, rent the movie, support whatever Canadian endowment in this movie was, but a proper, actually good movie. I'm not trying to take that away.
No.
It was whatever. I still don't quite know how that works. I love that, like European movies at the beginning, they're like, this was paid for by our government. You're like, your government's allowed to support the arts? What the hell?
I know, right? Go figure.
Isn't that illegal? What? Didn't we make that against the law? But yeah, it was actually really fucking good. And a nice little advertisement for Canada and Jay Baruchel and Canadian actors and the creator of it, this amazing rags to riches back to whatever happened after that story. So full recommend.
Absolutely. Next on our list here is a movie that came out later in the year last year and actually had a lot of decent momentum going into award season, especially because of the two main actors there that were highly talked about, and that is Iron Claw with Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White. I also said that easily any of the other brothers could have also been considered in supporting actor, because all the brothers in this movie were performed very well. They were very good on screen. They had great chemistry all across the board. If you don't know the story behind Iron Claw, it is basically a telling of the real life of the Von Erich family in wrestling. Highly regarded, very traditional family. They had their own region that they managed. A couple of their kids even eventually ended up in the WWF at the time, now WWE. So anyone who loves wrestling and knows the history of wrestling will know a lot about this family and kind of the tragic side of this family too. I wouldn't say it's a one-to-one biography, knowing actually the real story behind a lot of the stuff, because this is one of those families and one of these stories that you will go on YouTube and you'll watch like a documentary someone made that's like a good 2-hour long history of the Von Erichs and like the life tragedy of the Von Erich family, like that. Multiple YouTube videos were made. I saw a couple of them, so I know a lot of the stuff that really did happen. They shied away from some things, but it makes sense. I don't think they wanted to make this too sad, because it would have been much sadder.
Nice try.
Yeah.
I think the idea was it wouldn't have been believable because their story is so
It's so,
unbelievable.
yeah.
And so it actually, something like test audiences were like, they just were like their brain refused it and rejected it. It was so fucked up and sad.
Yeah.
Some backstory like that in the making of this thing.
Yeah, and I totally get that too. I mean, you know, with what they had already, it worked well. And I do agree this is probably one of Zac Efron's best performances I've ever seen from him.
What would be next? I'm sorry, but
Maybe Neighbors?
Okay, yeah. So this is his best performance by far. Yeah.
I mean, he has a very strong comedic background, right? So I feel like a lot of his movies were very bro-y or comedic. It's nice to see him a little bit more serious. So maybe this is like his best first dramatic role.
Yeah, this is exactly what this is. What are you fucking talking about? It's the first time he's been considered for anything other than a trophy in High School Musical, the movie or whatever,
or an MTV Movie Awards for like best bod or kiss or something like that. Yeah.
Yo, most hair.
Yeah.
This happens every now and then with when they talked about it a couple years ago with like, was it Red Rocket? Was that the name of the movie?
Yeah,
it was an MTV guy, and they're like, hey, he actually
Simon Rex.
Really good. Put him in the right indie movie, and holy shit, this is really well. I think there's a lot of people out there like that. It's one of those questions of like, okay, you just took the wrong turn or got a weird break. Like maybe Mario Lopez is going to be a Best Actor winner in 5 years when he just gets the right part about a burnt out former child actor or something sad, like a rehab dad or whatever. I don't know, but he was actually good in this role. I do think his brothers. You could have basically had 5 supporting actor nominations just from this movie alone.
Yeah,
they were all that good.
I mean, Harris Dickinson is one I like to call out because we loved Triangle of Sadness, right? And he was definitely someone who stood out there. His portrayal of David Von Erich was so good. So good. The older brother of the group. Yeah.
Second oldest?
Or was Efron the oldest? I don't know. But he was the more successful brother of the group and the promising one. And then when he fell to tragedy, that was like so heartbreaking. But yeah, easily anyone could have been easily nominated here.
Hilarious movie. Go on a date, smoke weed beforehand, have a lovely time, laugh your butt off.
Oh,
yeah. You want a good time? Are you depressed? You want a good time at the movies? Go see Iron Claw. Dude, rough watch. That's kind of my problem with it. Not too dissimilar from All of the Strangers, where it's just all the sad notes were being played the entire time. But was it a well-made film, well executed? Not much more to say than that. Hell yeah.
And again, I love to shout out every time A24 is involved. And this was like another great A24 film here. And I think if you come from a family where you have siblings, especially brothers, this really highlighted that brotherly love and how strong that bond is. So I know I had some friends who have families with like a lot of siblings and brothers. And they said like this movie really touched them a lot. Like this, like because you know the brotherly love is at focus here, and I think it really highlighted a lot of it.
For sure. Yep. As someone with a brother, as a man of a brother, yeah, solid.
There you go, living proof.
Feels.
There you go. Next one on our list here is Asteroid City. Wes Anderson. We already mentioned that he got nominated for The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar, but that was a short film. His long film, feature film, his regular film, got shut out completely. And we were kind of surprised because if you saw this movie and you saw how much care was taken for the production alone, you know, that little town that they were all in was something that was built from scratch. Had the aesthetics that Wes Anderson is familiar with and he's known for. And just the overall production and care behind it was so well done that at least we thought it would have been considered for production design, but nothing at all. And the movie in general is, you know, a typical Wes Anderson-like film. I wouldn't say it's one of his best, but it was definitely enjoyable. And it definitely had a lot of great performances, which is something that you are kind of expecting when it comes to a Wes Anderson film, especially when he has such a huge ensemble like he has in a lot of his more recent films. And this one is no exception. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I'm always going to love Wes Anderson films, whether they're good or bad. I will, of course, be critical if I see something, but this is definitely one of his more middle of the road movies out of his filmography there. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think if you were a fan of like Moonrise Kingdom, or if you're a fan of, Royal Tenenbaums, you are going to get a little bit of that stuff here. But if anything, it's just a technical achievement of what he was able to do production wise and also cinematography, to be honest with you. I loved kind of how it switched back and forth between kind of the play story that they're putting up front and then the people working behind the scenes and those who are putting that show together. So it's just a very interesting dynamic, and I thought it was just very well done.
I forgot to mention this earlier. That was another one of my Oscar rewatches that I'd seen a couple times in
Oh, okay.
theaters last year, and then I rewatched it last week.
Mhm.
Holds up really well. In fact, almost like the exact same, where some of his movies will grow or shrink in estimation
Right.
afterward on the rewatch. This one, I've consistently been like, oh, this is one of his best works. It's one of his best executed works. I really hope his next one he goes less meta. After French Dispatch is a story about a story
Yeah.
about a story and
Yeah.
vignettes, and then this one in its own way is
Too many
a
layers.
story about a broadcast, about a production, about uh I think I lost it at some point there, but I think
Yeah.
there's one more layer.
It's so many
I
damn
really
layers.
hope he goes back to this very human stories. I know that Darjeeling Limited hasn't aged well, but something where it's just humans having human experiences would be nice. So I think I'll also put it in that middle tier, but for an all-time great auteur, that's not a bad place to be.
No.
When I was going back through it, I was like, what could this have been nominated for? It was shortlisted for original song, which the song is actually pretty fire. Well, and the rewatch was like, oh yeah,
It's
I
not
really
bad.
enjoyed
It's not
this.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cute for sure. Um, there aren't many acting performances that go in like a COVID year where it's a slower year. You could kind of see Scarlett Johansson and maybe even Jason Schwartzman getting in there. Um, but give it a lot of technical awards.
Yeah.
There's a version where it gets screenplay. I think maybe if it's one or two levels less abstract, it actually gets screenplay.
Yeah.
But the Oscars haven't ever really favored Wes Anderson. And nowadays, with the more international body, they're not going towards him either. Whereas a lot of the indie movies, it's almost like he is a very American director or something like that, even
Which
though
is
he is so quirky and weird.
Yeah. And you could
There's
tell
something
too,
about
like,
his legacy that's really interesting to me that I think the next couple movies might really seal the deal of, oh, is he a quirky hipster weirdo dude who's playing with dollhouses, or is he actually an all-time great director? But they're
yeah,
not taking him seriously enough, I don't think, and this should have been somewhere.
which is interesting too, because you could easily tell that he gets a lot of influence from French film and all. So you would think that, especially some of his movies have kind of that feeling to it, that international feeling to it, that they don't see it that way. But to be fair, Asteroid City did feel like a very American production. And it's because it also focuses on an American city during a period in America, which was kind of volatile, right? There's a lot of things happening around that time. And it was like a dawn of a new age for America. So I feel like you're dealing with a lot of people who are not used to that yet. But I also do feel like Wes Anderson paved the road for a lot of international auteurs and directors to now take on the Wes Anderson type of filmmaking from earlier Wes Anderson. Now Wes Anderson is becoming way too meta and complex, while these newer directors are becoming what he was originally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I offbeat in saying something like that?
I honestly, I'm not sure, but it makes sense. I can see why you and where you're getting that from for
Yeah.
sure. I again curious where his legacy goes, and I'm always going to be there opening night on any
Oh
Wes
yeah.
Anderson movie. I don't know why he isn't taken seriously enough, but this one, at the very least, production design. That was the
Yeah.
one that it had the best shot at, other than song. I would love to see that. So I'm hoping his next one, at least it's more generally well recognized and beloved, whereas this one was just like very loved. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think when you and I were talking about it, I think we both agreed that it would be nice to see Wes Anderson take a step back and do something that is more similar to like a Royal Tenenbaums or a Rushmore. You know, kind of go back to his roots and just focus on more of a human story. You know, like a just a one path story. Nothing that just like a layer and a layer and a layer, which is cool and quirky. And maybe at the end of the day, that's what people see now is the quirkiness of it all. But it'll be nice just to see him do simplistic Anderson, you know, which is something that I think that's one of the reasons why we fell in love with him in the first place too.
The only other note I'll add before we move on is these are movies that weren't nominated, but Jeffrey Wright was nominated for American Fiction. And one of my favorite things that happens at the Oscars is someone gets nominated for one movie when it's also their body of work that's taken seriously. In Jeffrey Wright's case, it's more so a lifetime of body of work for this first nomination, I'm pretty sure,
I think so,
off
yeah.
memory,
Hmm.
which is wild. One of our best for years and years.
Oh yeah.
But 2023, Asteroid City, when I rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, he has a pretty decent role in this. He also is in Rustin and has a more prominent role there. And then American Fiction, that it's one of his rare, he's on the cover of the movie poster
Yeah.
movies. So I think it makes sense for him to get nominated for American Fiction. What I kind of want to see in the future is like, I don't even know how they would do it with supporting an actor or whatever, but just like body of work for a year to where like you can have multiple movies in that. But it wouldn't make sense because here he'd have two supportings and one main, whatever. But this is part of his 2023 Oscar campaign, even if it wasn't nominated for anything at all. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's taken seriously to win, but also we have some time. Anything could happen still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least he's gotten recognized at least finally.
Thank
You know,
God.
again,
Thank
like you
God.
said,
Yeah.
for
Way past
years and years and years in the business. Just like Cillian Murphy. You know, Cillian Murphy
Yeah.
has been around for so long, you know, and done so many things, and now only finally now just getting recognized for the first time. So
We just had the 10-year anniversary of Philip Seymour Hoffman's death on Friday, February 2nd. And the only reason that comes to mind is you're talking about Cillian Murphy and Jeffrey Wright. They're of that same generation. And Philip Seymour Hoffman was very beloved, one of the best actors that we've ever had, maybe have ever had on this planet.
yeah,
Incredibly talented and was, thank goodness, recognized in his lifetime. He didn't have the thing where it was all posthumous.
right.
And I think it's really important to recognize our legends and not take them for granted. So I'm really glad that those two dudes are getting nominated for incredible work this past year.
No, absolutely. Moving on here, someone who at one point was recognized by the Academy, Sofia Coppola, with her movie Priscilla. Priscilla was one of the movies that came out last year, directed by Sofia Coppola. Tells the other side of the Elvis legacy with a point of view from Priscilla Presley herself, where you had Baz Luhrmann's Elvis really focusing on Elvis, obviously, and his relationship with Colonel Tom Parker here. Now you have all point of view from Priscilla on the opposite end of things. It tells the story that Sophia is very good at putting together a female who is usually not seen, who is in seclusion, who is lost in kind of their way, trying to figure their way out, trying to figure out who they are, who they want to become, their importance and role in life. And Priscilla was basically like an accessory to Elvis, kind of like a pet at times, you know, at beck and call whenever he needed. And it was interesting to kind of see that side of things. Definitely a controversial subject, because if you are a diehard Elvis fan, I'm sure there are some aspects of Elvis that maybe you don't want to know about or you never knew about. But and whether it's true or not, it's hard to kind of say, because it is coming from a point of view of somebody, Priscilla Presley herself, who wrote the book that this is based off of. But I think,
Wait, if what is true? Like the
If-
details, the behind the scenes,
like,
closed
if
door?
Elvis really, you know, was abusive, or if Elvis really was, you know, had a short temper, I feel like it's a lot of those reports are coming from Priscilla herself. You don't really hear a lot of other people saying the same thing.
I will say this. I mean, it wouldn't be the first dude in history, especially from that era, where everyone was like, "No, totally cool guy, nothing weird,
Yeah,
nothing wrong about him whatsoever." And then the behind the scenes story, you're like, "Oh, they were a monster, great."
right.
Um, I'll also say yes, you are at least technically correct. If that this is taken from her memoir, and in fact, every single scene. And I think every bit of dialogue, there's something where it was verbatim, either scene for scene, same order of everything. But I actually thought it was the actual words themselves were all pulled from the book. There was some interesting behind the scenes fact about the
Mhm.
making of this movie like that. Um, so yes, it is definitely told. It was based off of her memoir. I
Yeah.
don't think we should necessarily short sell. Not that you're even trying to, but Elvis is obviously already a problematic dude. We know the dates and ages of people from this movie when they met, which is one of the more interesting and complicated aspects. Is you're like, am I watching a really heinous crime happening? But it's glamorous, and
Yeah.
to what degree? I think that's why it's smart to have Sofia Coppola tell that story.
Yeah.
She is really good at. I'm thinking Marie Antoinette. I'm thinking Virgin Suicides, of a very lovely, soft-toned, feminine tragedy and getting at more what's happening behind the scenes and under
Yeah.
the surface, and bringing those things to light without necessarily being such a plot-heavy movie. It's
Right.
more about the mood and the tone, and I think it was successful for that reason. When it came out, we talked about the lead actress could have gotten nominated. We could definitely get cinematography, editing,
Mhm.
screenplay. We got nothing.
Nothing.
And yeah, not surprising looking back at what a full year it was. But if you told me this was a lot of people's nominations, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me it was in the 6 or 7 spot when you total all the votes in a lot of these
Yeah.
categories, I wouldn't be surprised. But ended up with zilch. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, one of the reasons why we want to highlight it too, because it is one of those movies that should be watched. It should be, kind of paid attention to because I think, in my opinion, it's one of Sophia's best films for a while. And, again, she doesn't shy away from the little details. Like, when you're talking about Priscilla's age at that time, she looks like a fucking child, and she's getting caught up and involved in these situations. And, I guess that's one thing I love about Sophia too. It's like she's very punk rock when it comes to her filmmaking. And this
Yeah.
movie at times felt very punk rockish in what she's trying to portray and the story she's trying to tell there. So, and the performances, I mean, look, we have Jacob Elordi, who, in my opinion, I knew nothing about because I don't watch, the shows on TV. I don't watch a lot of those things. But to have him come out of, in my eyes, out of nowhere, to be in Priscilla and then to be in Saltburn, to be like this hunky dude in both roles, it's like, wow, this guy has a future ahead of him. I think because he did very well in both roles. I think, in my opinion. But I think Kaylee Spaney should also be paid attention to because I thought she was very, very good in this. I don't know where her future goes from here, but I do feel like she does at least needs another chance at another role sometime soon. I don't want her to get lost in the whole Hollywood shuffle because I think she deserves more acting opportunities.
100%. Yeah, it was one of the highlights of this movie.
Yeah. Next here on our list, we go Under the Sea with Little Mermaid. Not expecting us to have this on our list, but when you really think about it and you think about our top 12 movies of last year, this was a movie that we highlighted because I think it surprised us how much we actually enjoyed this movie. It was one of those rare live action adaptations to a classic Disney animated film that actually worked.
Best one ever? Are we willing to say that?
I will say Cinderella still holds that for me.
Oh, you'd be wrong. Okay. So
Okay,
best one
that's
ever.
fine. You don't know
Good.
nothing.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't seen Cinderella. I'm so sorry. Wait,
See?
did I?
See?
Wait, there's Beauty and the Beast, which I saw.
Cinderella is
do
going
you know,
way back. This is going
you know who
way
played
back.
Cinderella?
I
Is it Emma
forgot
Watson?
her-
It's not Emma
forgot her
Watson.
name.
Why
No, it's
don't
not. No, Emma
how did
Watson's
this
Beauty
become
and the
our
Beast.
side? Thank you. How did this become our side thing? way
This
back
goes
like 2015.
2015,
Okay.
and Lily James is Cinderella, who happened to have been
Interesting.
in
Huh.
Iron Claw. She was in Iron Claw, as the love
Great.
interest.
Definitely could have got nominated for that. That was a tough role.
Yeah.
Devastating one. Also directed by Kenneth Branagh. Okay, maybe I'll watch Cinderella then and tell you
I
that you're so
recommend it.
wrong,
I
even if I
recommend
don't believe it. Okay.
it. Because I thought it took a more serious approach to the story, but still maintaining the respect to the original property. When I say original property, not the original property, but the Disney animated film. Because remember, Disney took a lot of these kind of, not public domain pieces and
Hans
turned it
Christian
into
Andersen
their own
as
stuff.
fairy
Yeah,
tale
yeah,
public. Yeah, just I think one of the best things about Cinderella, since we're talking about it, is it's about a guy with a foot fetish, and those are
absolutely.
not represented enough.
No,
But a guy
no,
who's like, hey, I think I should go try on all of these shoes myself.
yeah. And I wanted
And
to
they're
see
like,
you do that in front of me.
yeah, and they're like, you have assistants for stuff like this. Like, no, I'd like to go to every single woman in
Yeah,
the
I
entire.
need to go. Yeah.
I have to touch their feet just to know. You're like, well, we could tell you. It's like, no, I
No,
need
no,
to
no,
touch the
no,
feet.
no.
Yeah.
I need to be the one to make
Okay,
sure
sorry.
that this goes well. But yeah, no, The Little Mermaid had a lot going for it. And the music was great. It was very nostalgic, memorable. Halle Bailey was fantastic in this role. I think she did a great job. You believed the chemistry between her and the prince there. I thought Ursula, Melissa McCarthy, it's almost as if she was born to play this role. She is just so good in that role and kind of having that snarky attitude and all. I think if I recall, my one criticism was the whole Lin-Manuel Miranda rap song that happened. I think I'm just done with the whole.
Scuttlebutt?
Yeah, please come on.
You didn't love Scuttlebutt?
No.
Scuttlebutt. Da, da,
Yeah.
da.
Oh, yeah. You remind me of the two Slavs that sat next to me who like, this was another thing that happened. This is my infamous movie theater experience where I had my own commentary happening in the theater. And I remember when Scuttlebutt was done, one of them proclaimed, "Oh, I'm going to be downloading that on Spotify after this."
So
But yeah.
cool, dude. Great. I love hip hop.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I do. That song was a little whack, and I really wish it had been great because then this may have been just fucking nominated out the wazoo.
That could have been nominated for Best Original
Honestly,
Song.
give it an original freaking song. Is he an Oscar away from EGOT? I can't recall. We don't have to get into that right now. Maybe he already has his O.
Who knows?
Regardless, lovely, amazing. Also, Halle Bailey is another person who had a couple big
Oh, yeah.
roles last year,
Yeah.
but she really has her sea legs under her.
Heyo.
I saw this 3 times in theaters, absolutely adored it, and I finally talked to someone recently who was like, "Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it just had like some complaint, and
Okay.
it wasn't the weird." We shouldn't have a black mermaid because that isn't
God, I would hope
real
not. 'Cause-
or whatever.
'cause I'd be like, who are you hanging out with?
No, sincerely, like I'm saying online, there's a lot of that crap.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
way too much.
Yeah.
And congratulations on getting sponsored by Russia, you fucking trolls.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're taking the bait and ripping our country apart. What makes us great? I don't know why I'm getting off on this. I when they were saying that, I was sitting there like, we're talking about 2 different worlds. I think there's some people who can't
whole
take
new world.
a musical serious. Thank you. A part of that world.
That too.
There's some people who can't take a Disney movie seriously or a musical seriously, or it's not indie enough or some crap. And I think when something is this great, the music, like literally every aspect of the filmmaking, except I guess Scuttlebutt, which still kind of gets you. Gotta
Hey,
admit.
people loved it. A lot of people in the theater loved it, so I could be the one.
Somebody said that the film was a little too dark, like the actual quality of film. I don't think they were doing some like low-key racism stuff, but like it was a thing when the trailer came out too. People were like, why can't I see anything?
Oh, that's interesting.
It is difficult to make an underwater movie. I personally feel like it worked really well. I don't know. Like maybe they had a light on in the background and they tried to watch it at home. I'm not sure.
Maybe they were having
Anyway,
their phone on.
And also when you're in an underwater shipwreck, maybe it should be a little bit dark. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, really love this movie a lot.
Yeah.
It hits you and I. You like animated, you like Disney maybe more than I do. That was a favorite of mine when I was a kid. We both went into it like this might be good, but I really hope they don't fuck it. And they fucked it so many times in this one. They fucking nailed it. Hit it out of the park.
They did. They did. Yeah. I mean, I
That was a fun
remember.
episode when we were both like, "You loved it too, right?"
Yeah, because we had no idea. Like we kept it secret between ourselves, and then when we it was revealed, I was really shocked. And I remember the Little Mermaid trailer, the very first one, was the first ever trailer reaction I've done on the Low Key Geek channel on YouTube. And I captured myself crying and tearing while she was singing "Part of Your World" there, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, she nailed it! She is so good." So I was hoping that the rest of the movie was going to be equally as good, and I think for us at least it was. So very very good stuff, and definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it yet.
Isn't it neat?
What's that?
I said, "Isn't it neat?"
Isn't it neat?
Yeah,
Look at these feet.
yeah. Isn't it neat? Why is Prince Charming always obsessed with feet?
With feet. What is this thing? This castle looks like a penis. Uh, we're going back
Don't
to the
ruin Little
original.
Mermaid. Don't,
Yeah.
please don't ruin Little
Okay.
Mermaid.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
moving on.
I was young.
I'll leave that behind, and while I do that, next one on our list is "Leave the World Behind."
Oh, God. Jesus.
I had to. I'm sorry. But this is another movie that makes our list here. This is one, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four. Fifth on our list here. So we're at number 5 now. Leave the World Behind, I think, is easily one of the surprises, I would say, from last year. I don't think either one of us expected to enjoy this movie the way we did. It is a dark movie, for sure. And it definitely is a different take on the whole post-apocalyptic type of genre that's out there, but one that I feel is more relatable, I think, to kind of our society today. Kind of that need to consume and be informed and be in touch, and also our need to escape when things are downtrodden and when things aren't working our way. And I just love how they kind of played on that whole concept where, we all need escape, right? And we watch movies to escape, we watch TV shows to escape, even though maybe we should spend more time in paying attention to what's actually happening in the world around us. But I think there is a lot of moments where we rather just be in the world of a movie or be in the universe of a TV show, right? And that may be the only thing that's keeping us going, right? So I like how this plays around with that concept. Julia Roberts plays a character that's off type, which I really love. She's basically a Karen in this. And it's just awesome to see her play a role like this and make it so believable and make it so good and so powerful. Yeah, performances across the board was just so fantastic. I thought everything here worked. And I know a lot of people had a lot of issues with the ending. I thought it ended brilliantly. I thought it was like a brilliant ending, in my opinion.
Perfect.
But yeah, if you haven't heard of this movie, it's a movie on Netflix. It did have a theatrical run, so it would have been eligible for Oscars. But I also do feel like it's very dark subject matter, and
very genre too.
Very genre, yeah. So, but I enjoyed it. I highly recommend you watch it for sure.
This is from a favorite director, Sam Esmail. And we don't need to talk about how amazing Ethan Hawke is.
So good.
Yeah. The kids did a great job.
Oh yeah.
Mahershala Ali and Julia Roberts. We don't need to talk about how amazing they are. We all know that. The kids were surprisingly good. And Mahershala Ali's daughter, who the actress's name is escaping me right now, but I've seen her in a few things now, and I think she was in Bodies. She was in an HBO show. I think she is definitely a special talent. Definitely, for a fact, has a career ahead of her, and I hope that we see her in more things moving forward.
Yeah, that's Miahala Harold.
Thank
is
you.
the actress there. So good. She is so good. And plays that role that we do see a lot of, the one who's not trusting of the white girl or the white people, the kind of like, we have to stick to our own. While Mahershala is kind of more of like, well, let's give them a chance and all that. But he also has his own secrets that he's not sharing. There's a lot of kind of like secrets being held, little like nuances there. It definitely deals a lot with technology and how that could ruin things for us, social media. And I know the big joke in this film is the deer scene.
That was a good
You know,
joke.
that it was so laughable when Julia Roberts comes to try to save the girl and she's just screaming at the deer. There are a lot of memes about it. People are joking about how ridiculous that is.
That's kind of what you're supposed to do with animals, though, is
That's
just
the
be bigger
thing.
and louder
Put
and
yourself in that
crazy.
situation. What
You're
would
actually
you
acting
do?
crazy. You're not. That's not
Yeah.
Julia Roberts trying to like talk to a deer. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you're. I don't know about deer specifically, but a lot of animals are like make yourself big and loud and try to scare them away.
Right. Yeah. So
A
I
meme I can
don't.
see that, sure, but actually like, oh, this ruined the movie. It took me out of the moment. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That is dumb.
I don't
That's a
know
bad
what
take.
people were thinking, but I'd love to see them in that scenario. What they would do. I mean, would they just like keel over and just play dead, or
I mean, speaking of different perspectives, though, I think this movie's also hitting on what a theme we're seeing, where a lot of times horror and thriller movies are talking about what's under the surface and in the
yeah.
water of, the political conversation, the social goings on. Civil War's coming out this next year by Alex
Oh,
Garland, and I am so geeked for it. This feels like a movie that could be in conversation with that for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to necessarily get into the plot and that aspect of it. But I think they did a very good job with that. And I also just saw ISS, which is different, but there's similarities. Is a really bad version of current modern politics and conflict and what if this scenario happened, end of the world style stuff. And this one was actually a very well executed. And I like that it was kind of in the, what do they call it, like in the box where you're stuck in this house with them and you don't know
Yeah.
what's happening outside and the information they're getting might be misinformation, etc. That made it all the more suspenseful. If someone's mad at the ending, the question there was actually an informal survey put out, but it was like, would you have liked it if they had said, "Oh, this is exactly what happened, and this is what will happen in the future"? People are like, no, that's not as satisfying, and they're actually happier about the ending when you consider the other options.
Sure.
If you're someone who really wants closure on all your films, and for Will Smith to punch the alien, then enjoy Independence Day. But this one to me was very well executed, and it's just a beautiful movie about a little girl and her search to watch the last episode of the TV show Friends.
No, that's all that matters.
Yep.
That's all that mattered. Despite everything else happening, she needs to know what happened at the end of Friends with Ross, Rachel, all those folks, because she had a great line in this movie that she when she had a conversation with her brother, where it kind of goes to the point where this is the one thing I can heavily rely on to make me happy because everything else sucks, and it's just one of those things. And that made me relate to it so much, because it's true. There's so much shit outside. Maybe the one thing that really makes me happy if I sit down and watch a movie or I sit down and watch my favorite show, right? And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. So, and that's just the thing I really enjoyed about this film is that it is very relatable
Yeah.
at the
I
end of
mean,
the
we're
day.
currently doing that right now in
Oh,
our own way.
absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
plugged in, looking at a screen,
Yeah.
and thank goodness the internet's working, or else we'd have to deal with some actual problems in the world. I mean, like tomorrow I'm going to a Free Palestine protest.
There you go.
Today I'm sitting here and talking to you about a Netflix movie.
That's right.
And it's that it is a very damning critique of our society while also being a very entertaining movie itself and kind of playing into that dynamic on its own
Yeah.
terms.
No, absolutely. I think this movie killed it. Speaking of killing it, we have the killer next on our list here, and that is another Netflix film, this time from David Fincher, starring Michael Fassbender. We were talking about, everyone can have a bad day at work. Well, this guy definitely has a bad day, but what if
Assassins are
you're
not supposed to have bad days. That's
yeah.
bad.
Well, what if your job is you are a hitman? You're a gun for hire and you miss your target. Everything goes wrong, and now you're dealing with this one unfortunate person who has to deal with the downfall and all the stuff that happened with himself missing his mark for what we feel is the very first time, especially for someone who is very meticulous and takes proper care in every little thing that
He
he
says he
does.
does,
Yeah, well,
but all of our evidence is that he maybe
it
doesn't.
it points the
That he might
other
be full
way,
of
right?
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I love about this film too. Is like you have that running dialogue about I use the same chair, I wake up the same time, I sleep at the same now, bum bum bum. And then when he fires the gun, what the fuck? And then it just all goes to shit afterwards. It's just so good.
Hilarious. As a
Plus,
comedy, it really works.
it does actually. It does. But also with the thrilling aspect of it all, it works very well as a thriller as well. I know some people were very critical about the fight scene with that guy in the house. How it felt for some people, it felt very jarring. I thought it felt very visceral, especially the way it was kind of photographed and the editing involved, the vibrations that the camera would go through whenever someone smashes on the floor. It felt visceral. It felt like you felt the impact of it
It
all.
makes it more effective
Yeah.
as a fight scene.
Yeah, I think some people just felt it was a little jarring. I don't know
Hmm.
what they were expecting or I don't know what the effect was there, but I thought Fincher did a really good job overall.
Yeah.
And this is a character after my own heart. He loves the Smiths, and that's kind of like how he gets into his zone. So you put this up there with 500 Days of Summer, and if you are a Smiths Morrissey fan, these are the movies you need to watch. So I highly recommend it.
We had an episode about this one. I could talk about it a lot. Everything you said, Michael Fassbender's performance is smart. I think it's a really smart movie.
Yeah,
On the surface, if someone's just going for, a Netflix action movie, they might think it's weird or off kilter. I think it's a really well done comedy. I do think it has some really good action set pieces. I think it's much more clever and more of a meta commentary on the genre, on what it's like to be a film director, on what it's like to take yourself too seriously, and at the same time, an entertaining ass movie. Those are a lot of my favorites. The movie that like Leave the World Behind, on the surface, it is entertaining and it's also saying something not only about itself, but society in general. I thought it was a really well-made movie, and I
yeah,
don't think there's much more to go off of other than it's this high on our list and
yeah,
on my own top 10 list of the year, etc.
yeah. No, absolutely. Which now leads us to our top three out of our top 12 here. So, coming in at number three is probably one of our favorite action films of last year, and that is John Wick 4. I think this takes the prize over Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning for me, maybe for you too. Because I think the action sequences in here were so well choreographed. Very, very imaginable, like great imagination behind the creation of these action sequences. Everything from the staircase scene that felt like it lasted forever, and you felt every time Keanu had to take a couple steps back or falling all the way back down to the bottom, to the inside the house, above the ceiling point of view, where you're just watching him lace kids from one room to another with this crazy ass fiery shotgun. It was just like, yeah, like you're playing a video game. It was just so well done. Great chemistry between him and Donnie Yen. Love that interaction between the two. Is this the end of John Wick? We don't know. But if this is a close to his kind of storyline within this universe, then I think it was a proper ending here because everything was very well done and executed. And again, Keanu was just being Keanu, and we love him in these type of roles.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this is another one that I rewatched recently.
Nice.
Going through my favorite movies of the year and just revisiting them with the downtime of January.
Yeah.
Holds up. Fuck yeah. So many of the scenes are just as exciting on now the fourth watch. A really smart action movie. And I think I've said it before, I'll say it again one more time. I'll try to be succinct, but this is a top 5 movie of the last year for me. And I just think that people have a hard time, especially with whatever Oscar bias is out there, looking at action movies as serious films.
Yeah.
But the parallels I was trying to make was like, if the fight choreography was dialogue and if the set pieces were plot moments in the script, then this is a very fucking well written movie, and if acting was the actual choreography, then this is a very well executed, well acted, well written movie. Because it's hard for our brains to go, oh, there's guns and a Russian mobster and a dog pissing on a guy, a pencil going through someone's hand. The amount of sick kills in this movie might be the highest of the John Wicks, and this has to be the highest of the franchise. And also the fact that the dude has made 4 movies, and they're 4 of the best action movies of all time.
Amazing.
Our fight choreographer is the best untapped potential in Hollywood. Like, this was so well done.
Yeah.
Big favorite of mine. And if you're not into gore or can't handle an action movie, stay the fuck away from this one. The scene around the Arc de Triomphe where the cars are going in
With the
circles.
cars. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they're staying put. It's the opposite of a chase scene.
Yeah.
The stairwell sequence, the church of the Sacred Heart, Sacred Coeur. I really enjoyed this movie on the 4th watch for those same reasons. The same way I've enjoyed Poor Things or Oppenheimer on the 4th time too. It's just a different style of movie, perfectly executed.
Yeah.
No,
And
no pun intended.
if there is any reason to make a case for including stuntmen as some sort of category in the Oscars,
Yes.
or like choreography, coordination, watch this film, because it is amazing the amount of stuff that these people go through. The director was a stunt person and stunt choreographer, so they know how to make this work, and it for 4 films now, it's worked brilliantly. So good stuff there. When we talk about brilliance, we have to talk about Beau is Afraid. Because I think Beau is Afraid is one of the most brilliant movies we saw last year that maybe most people are not taking as seriously as they should, especially when you kind of boil down some of the themes involved in it, the performances, the directing, the visuals that we see throughout the movie. This was probably one of the most talked about movies that we ever had last year. When you and I are doing this show, we talked about this movie quite a bit. It lasted and stuck with us for a long time. Even to this day, I still remember a lot of it. And I think for a lot of people who have watched it even recently, they are starting to understand the nuances and the meanings behind it and just how smart of a film this is. But we spent a whole episode talking about this movie. Surprised at the very least, like no screenplay for nomination for this movie, maybe even special effects, some
Hair and makeup, costume,
yeah.
Parker Posey, best actress of all time, and
My
also
God.
really hot.
If there was a comeback moment, like a comeback like nominee, I mean, we haven't seen Parker Posey in a minute, so especially in movies.
I saw him on Broadway last year. Not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
But I mean, like in the film world, like we haven't seen her in a long time, and it was so refreshing and so awesome to see her back again. And she killed it. She nailed it too. I mean, seeing Patti LuPone as the mom was just amazing in itself. This movie, and again, Ari Aster. If you know Ari Aster, if movies like Midsommar and Hereditary, if that's your jam, then this is definitely going to be there up on your list. It is not a horror per se like the other movies that he is familiar with, but it still can be quite horrific for a lot of people who watch it. But it was just very well executed, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I try to recommend this movie as much as I can. Definitely worth a watch if you haven't done so yet.
I could talk about this movie forever. I could analyze it forever. You give it some combination of some haters, it spends a lot of money, doesn't make enough, flops, a couple bad reviews, and then there's a train that takes off, and the movie gets left behind, and a lot of people are giving it a bad rap. Or it's kind of like when you see a Rotten Tomatoes score shoot down, and now it's like people are jumping on that bandwagon. I know a lot of people love the movie. I know a lot of people maybe hated it for properly good reason. I think it's an all-time favorite for me, like top 50 movies of all time. I could get into every aspect of why, but it's like basically just it's imaginative and weird. Yes, I'm fucking into that. Everything else is just perfectly executed on all the crafts aspects, in my opinion. We can talk about what happened in the attic when he went up there. I think if you take that scene out, it's possible this is a beloved 2023 nominated
Oh, I
movie.
could see that.
It's
Yeah.
possible it could just take one little thing that icked people out and now they can't take it seriously or something.
Right.
I think looking back, if Ari Aster does that one thing differently, his whole career might be completely different. Just a little
Yeah.
sliding doors moment. It's a theory I have. But at the end of the day, it worked for me. I think I understood what he was doing or understood that I wasn't supposed to understand and that it was so deep.
Right.
I don't care. I like how literary and weird it was. This should have definitely been at the Oscars, but I'm kind of glad it wasn't. It lets us hold on to it as a little personal fave, cult classic kind of thing.
Yeah, because if any movie can work its way into cult stardom, that's almost as powerful as it winning like an Academy Award. I feel like once you hit cult status, you know that film is going to be talked about for a very long time. Unlike maybe a film that wins Best Picture, some of those films you never hear about again. You know, like it was great for that year or that moment. You know, how many people talk about Green Book these days? You know, like things like that. It's just like one of those, you know, interesting scenarios. And I too am happy that Beau is Afraid is still at least well talked about, despite it not getting recognized during award season. So yeah, which now leads to our number one of our top 12 movies of 2023 with 0 nominations. And this was Blake's unhealthy obsession for the end of last year. And that is Saltburn. Saltburn, Saltburn, Saltburn. The movie starring Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi. Oh God, so many other people. You have
Rosamund Pike, Carey Mulligan, Richard E. Grant,
Archie, and I always have a hard time with his last name, but
Madook.
good old Archie.
I'm saying Madook. If I'm wrong, I'm
Madook.
so sorry.
Okay. And you know, directed by Emerald Fennell, who was also in Barbie. So I guess in a way she is kind of getting recognized for something because she was part of the Barbie ensemble. But yeah, this movie it was just one, and I know there are a lot of comparisons about this movie with like The Talented Mr. Ripley. I kind of said that there were some moments that reminded me of like Single White Female. It is not a unique concept, but it is a story and concept that was done very differently and kind of visually extraordinary that made it very enticing, very sexy in a lot of ways. And there was a lot of sexual stuff that happened all throughout this movie. If you are familiar with memes or the talk, obviously you already know about the bathtub, you already know about the grave. You know about the party, you know about menstrual cycles, you know about all that stuff that happened in this movie. But if anything, it really highlighted to me how strong of an actor Barry Keoghan is and how, if given the chance and the opportunity, he could lead a movie. And I thought he did a really good job in this film. I was a little disappointed that he didn't get considered for any kind of acting nom. I thought he totally deserved it. Especially like last year, him getting supporting actor nom for Banshee, but for him not getting any recognition this time around is a bit of a bummer. But he still has a very young career ahead of him, so I'm sure like we're gonna be hearing his name around quite a bit. But yeah, this movie, and I still remember to this day, I walked out of this movie, and I knew I couldn't stop talking about it. And I knew it instantly became one of my best and favorite movies of the year. And I said, Blake, I can't wait for you to see this movie because this has you written all over it. And was I right?
You said. You were right. What's funny is I'm still not sure on this movie. Like the way it's aged for me after having seen it so many times back to back. It's kind of like you eat your favorite food every single day, and after you're like, oof, do I love this, or is it kind of making me sick to my stomach? But at the very least, there was a month where this movie had the crown of greatest movie, most obsessed
Yeah.
movie I've ever been with anything of all time. I was fully fucking bought in on Saltburn. There's something to be said about Beau is Afraid and Saltburn and movies that are very overt with sex. And maybe the Oscars really love a Portrait of a Lady on Fire or an
Mm.
All of Us Strangers where they're kind of like, can we talk about it? Is it okay? And
Like,
it's
is
like
it
whispered
taboo?
about, oh my God, I'm so sorry for having a body
Right.
and genitals. And then if you actually show someone drinking cummy bathwater, then
Mm.
that's a big deal. It makes people feel funny in their bodies. But there might be something there of like if you want to win an Oscar, like it used to be if you're an actress, you want to get naked for the role or
Right.
show that you're taking it seriously, or you want to make yourself ugly or whatever. There might be like I want to keep an eye on it. Maybe if I look at the nominations again, I'll just realize this is stupid, but it might be that overt sexualness is like they think it's unbecoming or something
Sure.
like that. I don't know. This movie fucking rules. I don't care what anyone says or feels about it, if it makes you feel funny, etc. I don't know that it's actually great. I don't fucking care. I had an amazing time. I got into it, and it is really well done at making me feel like what movies are capable of so much. So,
Yeah.
would I actually put it at number one on the list? I don't know. I really fucking don't. But like, I think maybe Beau was Afraid, John Wick 4, The Killer. You can make an argument for those. But was it the most exciting moment for me at the movies last year? At least until I saw Poor Things.
Yeah.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I feel like you too. It's like I saw this, I'm like, hands down, this is my favorite movie of the year. And then I saw Poor Things and I said, hands down, this is my favorite movie of the year. Like, if we didn't get a Poor Things last year, this definitely would be my top. But yeah, I mean,
Also, it just disproved my theory about weird overt sex stuff in the movies when I think about Poor Things. But if Poor Things doesn't win a lot of its categories, then that might actually prove the theory right.
That might
like
prove
it's
your theory.
so good, and it's not the most nominated movie. And if they don't give it to Emma Stone, then sure there's reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious. I'm gonna keep an eye on this, or maybe critics or something, or like American critics, and these are American movies or like American British movie, and they're like, oh, that's like British movies where they're like, oh, that's disgusting. They showed blood on his face and cummy bathwater and him gray fucking. I can't handle that. I'm gonna be shocked. I'm gonna keep an eye on that theory.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there for sure. But yeah, I think obviously I knew also coming out after watching this movie, I knew, oh, the Academy's gonna hate this movie. I mean, it's just so against everything that they kind of like really endure and they like, and they kind of want to applaud. But it's strange too because it is also from a director that they really praised that year when what was the movie that she did?
Promising Young Woman. It was a COVID
Promising
year
Young
though,
Woman.
yeah? Am I
Yeah.
wrong about that? I might be off by a year, but I thought that was COVID year.
Oh, that
Which
might
is
have
just,
been.
I'm saying it's an
Yeah.
asterisk.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
that
yeah.
way, I'm not saying that I think Promising Young Woman's fucking incredible. I love that movie. It is a 2020 movie for sure. And it was one of the few very elite movies that didn't get pushed. I guess all I'm saying is we don't really know how the Oscars feel about Emerald Fennell and her style without it being a COVID year.
Right.
And then Saltburn, we need a third movie to actually test that out. And I'm really excited for what Emerald does next.
No,
matter what.
absolutely. I'm excited to see what she has next in store for us. I'm all obviously excited to see Barry Keoghan and his up and coming roles. Jacob Elordi, we already mentioned before. I think Archie is definitely one of those young up and comers that people should pay attention to. He was also good in Gran Turismo. We didn't talk about that, but I thought
Yeah.
the movie itself was okay. Talk about
It was
vanilla.
really good.
Yeah, that was a pure vanilla movie. But his performance was really good.
I think he's the best part of that movie, for sure.
For sure.
Which is, you can be a great actor and be in a shit movie, and if people
Happens
leave,
all
like,
the time.
who's that kid?
Yeah, happens all the time. Yeah. So definitely look out for him with other stuff that he may be involved in. And of course, Rosamund Pike. How can you not love her? And Carey Mulligan did have a short role in here, but she is definitely getting recognized for Maestro. So she had a decent year last year as well. But yeah, that's it. That is our top 12 movies with 0 nominations that you should pay attention to. So just to recap, we had All of Us Strangers, Dream Scenario, Blackberry, Iron Claw, Asteroid City, Priscilla, Little Mermaid, Leave the World Behind, The Killer, John Wick 4, Beau is Afraid, and Saltburn. So definitely would love to hear your thoughts on if you've seen any of these movies, or if you haven't, hearing us talk about it, have we changed your mind? And now is this something you're willing to check out? Definitely let us know in all the multiple ways you could contact us and leave your comments, ratings, reviews. Make sure you do that too when you're listening to us on your podcast platform of choice. Make sure you follow, leave a nice rating. If you want to see clip outs of everything that we do here and other videos content, make sure to follow the LOWKEY Geek channel on the YouTubes there. Subscribe, comment, like, do all those kind of things. You want to further help support us? Check out the affiliates we have listed in the description of this video. But with all that said, we're going to head on out for now. Before we go, Blake, where can people find you online?
Find me on Letterboxd. My screen name is Last Name Wolf. If there's a movie that we didn't list here that wasn't nominated, let us know in the comments, because my watch list on Letterboxd is fucking filthy. It is long and nasty, and it's getting out of control, and I just want to keep adding movies to it. It's one of my favorite things about an episode like this, or someone puts out their end of the year list, is just logging things on my watch list. So if you're listening to this, I trust you at least enough to, if you've indulged in this much conversation about the movies, let us know if you have anything else in the comments. And yeah, that's where you can find me in the meantime.
Nice. Absolutely. And myself, I'm also on Letterboxd, and I also represent the channel there. So LOWKEY Geek on Letterboxd, also on Instagram, Twix, YouTube, like I mentioned before, and of course here on your podcast platforms that you're listening to us on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again for all of your support moving into 2024. We're looking forward to doing fun and awesome stuff, and hopefully we could share those experiences with all of you. But with all that out of the way, I've been Renee. That's been Blake. This has been Movie Time. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, and we will catch you all in the next one. All right. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.